This 1 hour and 45-minute introductory lecture was given by Maharishi on the 12th of March, 1974, to inaugurate a 1-month Science of Creative Intelligence course held at Brussels, Belgium. Jai Gurudev.
It's a joy for me to invite you this evening to join a global endeavor to improve the quality of life on earth. It's my heartfelt invitation to every one of you, with all your friends. It is possible for us in this generation to eliminate the age-old problems of mankind. The knowledge is there. It has proved its effectiveness on the basis of personal experience of thousands, hundreds of thousands of people. I am inviting you now to join in this effort, in this common effort to improve the quality of life in the world and eliminate the age-old problems of mankind in this generation. It's a very great opportunity for us now to rid the world from suffering. Life is a struggle, has been coming on since we don't know how long, all through the time. In every generation almost, people have lived this. Life is a struggle. They have experienced this and they have understood that life is a struggle. But it's my joy to tell you, on the basis of experience of hundreds of thousands of the people for the last 15 years in different parts of the world, that it is not necessary for us anymore to continue in struggle and strife and suffering. When you may hear it for the first time, it may be astounding. But what I am saying is a practical reality of today, and that is on the basis of science of creative intelligence. A knowledge, a systematic knowledge, a verifiable knowledge, whereby everyone could become more creative. And if we could increase creativity of the people, problems will be less, life will be more progressive, more fulfilling. The basis of problems is weakness. Anywhere, it's common sense. Anywhere there appears to be a problem, there must be weakness of life, in any field, no matter what. If there is a problem, there is weakness. And if there could be a way to eliminate the weakness of the individual, that will be a way to eliminate the basis of problems. When I say eliminate the age-old problems of mankind in this generation, it may sound to be unbelievable. I am trying to be very practical here. It's a proven reality that this new science, the science of creative intelligence, with its practical aspect, transcendental meditation, promises life free from suffering, life in fulfillment. And how? Just by improving creativity in the man, enabling a man to spontaneously think in more creative manner, the thoughts to be more creative, actions to be more creative and therefore more rewarding, less trying, more rewarding. What is at the basis of this? Nature of life. The very nature of life. How we describe that nature of life is elaborated in this science of creative intelligence. What is the reality of this plant? Here it's yellow, here it's green, here it's brownish, it's dry, it's wet here, green, fresh. This is not all the reality of this. There is something more underneath it, and that is the unmanifest, colorless sap. The sap, which appears here as yellow, appears here as green, that in its essential nature is colorless. So there is something colorless at the basis of all this colorfulness. These two realities, one colorful, the other colorless, one the surface reality, the other deeper reality. Both these together give us the real nature of the flower, that it has unmanifest reality, it has colorless sap, and that colorless sap manifests, it expresses itself, it creates itself into different shapes and forms. This is the story of creative intelligence. The laws of nature, working on the level of the colorless sap, produce this color here, this shape here, this form here, this color here, this color here. It is the creative intelligence which is the nature of the colorless, unmanifest sap, which is responsible for the expression of that. It is all this colorful flower is the expression of the colorless sap. Creativity of the colorless sap has expressed itself into this colorful flower. Just like this in a flower, everywhere in creation we find there is creative intelligence functioning underneath all the surface values of creation. We see everything is growing. The trees grow, the world revolving around the sun, all the galaxies, the whole universe, infinitely vast and variety, such huge variety, but is in perfect harmony, in perfect order. There is diversity in creation, variety in creation, and who is conducting all this variety of activity in the universe? Some orderliness is there. We call it creative intelligence. that unmanifest value of creative intelligence manifests itself into all diversity, into all variety of activity. Science of creative intelligence studies this nature of life and brings to our awareness the entire range of life and explains how the unmanifest creative intelligence manifests itself into various forms and phenomena in creation. This knowledge of the whole range of life develops in our awareness what we call creativity, makes us more creative. Science of creative intelligence is a recent development in the field of sciences. It's a new science. It offers fulfillment to the field of education. All the different sciences have been taught so far. Physics, chemistry, biology, astronomy, all different sciences. What was missing from the study? This. How intelligence functions, how creative intelligence expresses itself into different forms and phenomena. How? In our own case, we know since birth we have been thinking. How we think, how the thought rises, how the decisions are made. The mechanics of thinking, the mechanics of expression of our inner intelligence into different waves of thinking and decisions, actions, achievements, all the whole range of life is the expression of creative intelligence. But this study of intelligence has been missing. Only the study of the physical properties. The chemistry teaches how the reactions go on. Physics brings about the story of the physical values. Biology tells about the activities. But then, who is behind the activity? Who is behind the activity of all the biological organisms? Who is behind the activity of all the reactions? The whole field of chemistry, all the actions one with the other, how it happens. This study of intelligence and what that intelligence is in its nature. Science of creative intelligence explains intellectually and gives a direct experience of what pure intelligence is. The whole thing is very natural, very simple. Transcendental meditation, which brings our awareness to this field of pure intelligence, where one is wide awake inside. We call it pure consciousness or pure intelligence or field of pure existence. One knows, and this is called transcendental meditation. One experiences finer state of thought, and experiencing the finest state of thought, our awareness remains all by itself, inside awake, nothing remembered, but fully awake. Physiologically, this state has been measured as a state of restful alertness. Nervous system is restfully alert. Mind is restfully alert. It's wide awake, but it's restful. The nervous system, ready to be dynamic, ready to be active, but not yet active, wide awake. And this is like an arrow drawn on the bow. You pull the arrow, and then the arrow sits there silent, but full of great dynamic potential. You release it, and it goes one furlong. The whole nervous system settles down, deep rest, but it's unlike the deep rest of the sleep. Mind is fully awake, body is fully rested. This state of awareness on both levels, physiological level, psychological level, is like the arrow fully drawn on the bow, ready to fly with great dynamism and hit the target. When from this state of restful alertness, mind comes out into a thought, it's like that dynamic arrow which is shot from a fully drawn state. Thought force is so powerful, it goes and hits the target. Resistances on the way are not so powerful as to resist the implementation of the thought through action for achievement and fulfillment. This state of restful alertness has been measured by so many dozens of physiologists in different parts of the world. So many experiments on psychology, on sociology, how the behavior changes, how the thinking changes, how all these depressions and all these negative traits disappear. All this has been scientifically verified during the last 5 years. Hundreds of experiments are there in all fields. So, from the field of scientific experiments, it has been tested and proved repeatedly. So many authoritative people and organizations have been declaring that it is so good, have been inspiring their people. Governments have been declaring and inspiring their people. Governors have been proclaiming, mayors have been proclaiming, educators have been proclaiming, all these responsible for high schools and for colleges, universities, they have been proclaiming in public. And this has been going on particularly for the last 5 years. Here also, in all these advanced countries, thousands of people are meditating. This is all this whole possibility for mankind to be so creative that problems will not be faced. And if by chance accidentally some problem, it will be wiped out automatically. It's just like bringing light and all the problems of darkness disappear. Enabling the body and mind to be awake in their full potential. Just like the full potential of the arrow. We put the arrow on the bow and we don't draw it, don't pull it, just put it on the bow. That arrow also is restful, but it's not alert, it's dead. You leave it, it falls down. But if you pull it, nervous system, everyone knows one is able to think a lot, but not able to achieve the thought, not able to accomplish the thought, not able to accomplish the desire. Why? If one is able to think, one should be able to accomplish that desire. Why not the desires are accomplished? Just because thought force is weak. when the thought force is weak, the action on that weak thought force will always be weak. When the action will be weak, achievements will have to be weak. Fulfillment will have to be missing. There was no way till now to directly improve creative intelligence. All these studies in different fields, they are all informations. But the intellect as such, intelligence as such, does not directly increase through whatever we teach to our children or through whatever study we have been through. There has been no way of improving intelligence through education. Science of creative intelligence offers that theoretical knowledge and that practical procedure whereby physiologically and psychologically the full potential of body and mind could be developed and be used in daily life. So the development of creative intelligence is on a very realistic level through this knowledge of the science of creative intelligence. Like any other science, science of creative intelligence has two aspects to it. Theory, to give knowledge; practice, to give experience. And knowledge and experience both are necessary to satisfy. It's a very great opportunity for all those who are leaders in society, who are the leaders of communities, who are the leaders of families, parents, father, mother. It's such a great opportunity to introduce this knowledge of science of creative intelligence in the family life, in the all levels of society, in education, in health. How many problems in education? How many problems in the field of health? It's not enough for the health authorities to declare the need of more hospitals or more beds in the existing hospitals year after year. No, this means something more should be done to improve health. In all these technologically advanced countries, the experience is that stress is growing. Stress is growing. On one side, technology adds more comfort to living. Life is becoming more comfortable now than ever before. But whereas living is becoming comfortable, life is becoming less comfortable, stress and strain. Particularly those who take more responsibilities in their career, they begin to be stressed, fatigued, worries, anxieties. Transcendental meditation, 15 minutes morning and evening, 15-20 minutes, it brings such great state of rest for the body and mind both that one feels rejuvenated. If this is introduced in all levels of education, all the children will be growing on the top of creative intelligence. The greatest problem that the education is facing today, probably not today, it has been facing all along, whether the educators realize it or not. But the greatest problem is that the children don't go to colleges. Majority of the student doesn't go beyond high school. Why? Why not every man is a PhD? Higher education is there. All the universities are there. children don't go. It is a great disaster of education. By the time the student passes high school, he gets so bored of going to school. This must be the reason why children don't go to school, don't go to colleges. There is not that fascination for knowledge. Must be boring. And knowledge is such an inspiring thing, so fulfilling. But knowledge is only on the informatory level. It doesn't become a part of student's life. And when it doesn't become a part of life, then the information remains a kind of, if at all any fascination, it remains for some jobs, for some social reasons. I'll become a barrister or a doctor or what. For that I study. So study is only vocational. It's never a requirement for a fulfilling life. Science of creative intelligence gives the experience of intelligence on the level of one's own consciousness, and intelligence is the basis of all knowledge. So the basis of all branches of learning, the intelligence, is experienced in one's own self. And this is how every branch of learning becomes a part of student's life. One starts to identify oneself with what knowledge one is gaining. This has been unfortunately missing throughout the ages, in the whole history of education. How the knowledge could become a part of the knower. This was missing, and that is why knowledge has not been so fascinating. And that's why drop out from all the schools and colleges. Knowledge is such a fascinating thing. It's so fulfilling to life. Always, it's just common sense. Knowledge is for action, action for achievement, achievement for fulfillment. So knowledge is directly connected with achievements and fulfillment. But if knowledge is not a part of one's life, then achievement remains on the surface value. Fulfillment, there is no question of fulfillment when knowledge is foreign to man. When it doesn't become a part of one's life, then fulfillment, which is based on knowledge, doesn't come nearby. The whole life remains unaccomplished. And when life remains unaccomplished, life is a struggle, becomes normal experience. There must be a reason why throughout the ages life is a struggle. Life has been a struggle. Now in this scientific age, in this advanced age of science, where we have trained ourselves to think in a systematic way, then we should be able to find out why the life has been through struggle and suffering, and we should be able to find a way out of all these ancient sayings. Closely examining, where is the seat of this struggle in life? We find in a big lack in the field of education. Through education we can accomplish anything. We can accomplish everything. If we have a chance of educating the children, and if we can educate them properly, we should be able to develop their full potential. Why not? And if we are not able to do it, then there is a big lack. And the lack we just analyzed is the study of intelligence directly, experience of intelligence directly, a procedure whereby full creative intelligence could be developed. That procedure is now available. science of creative intelligence is the answer. I would like 5 minutes to devote on one point. It's very interesting. We'll analyze this, if life is a struggle, from a different angle now. Why life has been coming on through struggle? There must be a reason to it. Just because life has two aspects to it. As I said, the color and the colorless. Some unmanifest basis and the manifest. The root and the tree. And nobody sees the root, but it is from the root that the nourishment comes and all the branches and all the fruits. So something is underneath, which is the basis of all that comes up. The whole tree comes up and the root remains underlying. These two aspects, something underlying and something expressed. Different ways of living. This is expressed value of life. Morning, noon, evening, day, night, cycle of night and day and this. One goes to office, does same thing over and over again. The same sun rises, the same noon comes and evening comes, maybe someday foggy, someday clear, but it's the same phenomenon going on. This sameness of life, this routine work, in one word, routine work. Someone goes to office, does the same thing over and over again, over and over again. This routine work, it must be very simple to understand. If a man is required to do the same thing over and over again, this is what routine work is, then certainly his creative intelligence will not find an opportunity for full expression. And when the creative intelligence will not find an opportunity for its full expression, then life will become uncomfortable, because to expand, to grow, is the nature of life. The unmanifest sap must express itself to become colorful. Is the nature of the sap. It is the nature of the sap to express itself into different varieties. So it's the nature of life to grow. It's the nature of creative intelligence to grow. And if this nature of life does not get a chance for full expression of creative intelligence, then life becomes uncomfortable. That nature of life suffers. Life by nature wants to grow, and routine work does not provide an opportunity for full growth. And therefore, this routine work causes cramping to the nature of life. Life begins to suffer. If a child wants to run there and you restrict him, he cries. We are considering the fundamental of problems in life. It's the nature of life to grow, and because routine work does not provide opportunity for the full expression of this nature of life, this nature begins to suffer. Here in this lack of opportunity for full expansion is the seed of frustration. All kinds of frustrations are arising from this lack of opportunity for the full expression of creative intelligence. This has been the reason why life has been coming along as struggle and suffering. The seed of all frustration is lack of opportunity for full expression of creative intelligence. And this is brought about by routine work. Now, seen from this point of view, routine work appears to be no good. Seen from another point of view, routine work is very, very useful, because for any successful undertaking, disciplined activity is very necessary for progress in industry, in commerce, in government circles, anywhere. We have to create disciplined activity. And disciplined activity is routine work. It has the value of training the man more quickly, and he will become expert very quickly if he has some limited thing to do. But every day the same thing is not conducive to the full expression of creative intelligence. Therefore, life suffers. Through disciplined activity, through creative, through this routine work, seed of frustration is sown, and this seed magnifies itself or grows into all kinds of either depressions or revolts. Both things. Either a man gives up, his body gives up, his mind gives up, all depression, or he comes out to revolt. Both things. All frustrations in life are due to lack of opportunity for full expression of creative intelligence, and because it is the nature of life to express itself more and more, that nature begins to suffer. And when the seed of frustration is sown, the routine work keeps on making boundaries rigid every day, and makes on making that seed of frustration more and more powerful as time goes on. And this is just what life has been through. Every generation, we don't know since how long. Now, where is the way out of this situation? We want technology and sciences, all this activity to be disciplined, because routine work has a great advantage, but it eats up life. We are faced with a choice, either forego progress or forego life. Both are such that they can't be foregone. We can't sacrifice life for progress, and we can't sacrifice progress for life. We must have life in fulfillment, we must have progress as much as possible and as fast as possible. Science of creative intelligence provides an answer to this. What it does? It welcomes routine work. It welcomes the rigidity that routine work provides. What it does is, it offers a procedure for the full growth of creative intelligence. It offers a procedure for the full development of creative intelligence. The result is that when the routine work produces boundaries, and these boundaries restrict the expansion of creative intelligence, then this practical aspect of science of creative intelligence, this transcendental meditation, takes the awareness of the person to the transcendent unboundedness. And in this, mind gains unbounded awareness. In gaining unbounded awareness, it goes beyond boundaries. and breaks all the rigidity that the routine work provides. It's a beautiful philosophical explanation of how remaining within the boundaries of routine work and allowing the routine work to make our boundaries rigid every day, how through this simple natural procedure of transcendental meditation, full value of creative intelligence could be gained by every mind. Full value of physiological capacity can be gained by every body. So the body and mind could rise beyond boundaries. Morning and evening, and body and mind undergoes through all the boundaries during the routine work throughout the day. In this, what we lose is that seed of stress, that seed of frustration is disallowed. If we don't take our awareness to the unboundedness every day, morning and evening, and if we continue to expose ourselves in routine work day after day, then the seed of frustration is created, and that grows into different kinds of psychosomatic diseases. They are all well known. Physiologically, psychologically, sociologically, symptoms of disease comes. Symptoms of disease. Behavior is not healthy, thinking is not healthy, body is not healthy, ill health. Because the nature of life is not lived in its full value. And if the nervous system is made to live the full nature of life, and if we don't give that opportunity, then the nervous system must suffer. Just because it's the nature of the nervous system to express itself to the maximum value. It's the nature of life to express itself into more and more increasing values. So, it is the nature of life which demands growth, increasing growth all the time. And if we provide the initial condition for this growth, life will not feel cramped. And if creative intelligence does not feel cramped, then there will be progress and there will be fulfillment. It is this. As long as we have not analyzed, why should there be struggle? As long as we don't know that the nature of life is to grow from the unmanifest to the manifest, and unmanifest potential of life is infinite, unbounded. Maybe that these words have no meaning. When we hear them for the first time, it may be astounding. But today, it's a scientific reality. It's a scientific reality. It's very hard for any educated man to keep away from this knowledge anymore. And the promise of this knowledge is development of full potential of body and mind. And if the body and mind could be fully used, behavior would be ideal. This creation of an ideal behavior, creation of an ideal body free from sickness, creation of an ideal mind, unbounded awareness, and activities within boundaries. Activity has to be within boundaries. Every phase of living is within boundaries. But if one engages within boundaries with the background and foreground of unboundedness, then one is making full use of life. And this development of full value of life is on the basis of the very nature of life. When we are talking of developing full value of life, we must not forget that it has to be on the basis of the very nature of life. And we have just now seen that the nature of life has two aspects, one manifest surface value of life and one unmanifest deeper value of life. So what we do is we let our awareness travel from the surface value to the deeper value, to the deepest value, to the unmanifest value. And this is transcendental meditation. We take our awareness, we open our conscious mind to conscious level of thinking, and we let our mind travel to the finer levels of thinking, to the finest level of thinking, to the field beyond the finest, which is unbounded, the source of all thought, the field of pure intelligence. And here one experiences what pure intelligence is, that unbounded awareness, pure consciousness. It has many, many different names, but if we can't take in many names altogether, we can be just satisfied with this unbounded awareness, transcendental consciousness. I feel to say bliss consciousness. It's bliss consciousness, a state of fulfillment. State of fulfillment. And psychologically speaking, it is just that state of mind which is like the fully drawn arrow on the bow. The arrow is still quiet, it's rested, but it's full of dynamism. Like that, the mind in this transcendental consciousness fully awake inside. Now, if released through a thought, if released through a desire, it's going to hit the target. Thoughts will be powerful, desires will be powerful. On that powerful thought force, action will be automatically very rewarding. Achievements will be at hand, fulfillment will belong to everyone. This wonderful science promises life free from suffering. It's a very natural thing. There is a close continuity, there is a sequential continuity from the gross values, surface values of life to the deeper values of life. And that continuity we can intellectually understand from how we think. We think and the thought comes up on the conscious thinking level, and then that thought comes out as speech or as action. There is a continuity. And when there exists a continuity from the finer fields to the grosser fields of activity, then it should be natural for us to take our awareness from the gross to the subtle, to the subtler, to the subtlest, and get on to the source of all thinking, which is pure field of intelligence. Experiencing that pure field of intelligence as unbounded awareness. No boundaries, it has transcended all boundaries. That's why this procedure has a name, transcendental consciousness. It goes, it's like when you want to examine where is the colorless sap in this colorful petal. So we start to travel from the surface value of the petal. It is deep yellow. Little deeper, it is not so deep yellow. Little more deeper, it's not so deep yellow. It's not so deep yellow. It's fainter, faintest yellow, and then it's colorless. Because there is a continuity between the colorless and the colorful. Colorful on the surface, colorless at the depth, and there is a continuity. And when there is a continuity, we can experience deep yellow, and then the less deep yellow, and the less deep yellow, eventually non-yellow. Same kind of continuity is there between action and thought, and between gross state of thought, subtle state of thought, subtler state of thought, subtlest state of thought. And because, one thing very beautiful in this connection, because to grow is the nature of life. It's a very simple thing. To grow is the nature of life. And when we grow towards finer values, then we are really growing to be more powerful. And growth means towards more and more and more and more. So as our attention goes to the finer fields of thought, the mind is becoming more and more powerful. It's like the arrow being drawn, and as it's drawn, it's becoming more and more powerful, more and more powerful. Once it's fully drawn, it's most powerful. It is steady, it's non-dynamic, but ready to be dynamic. Mind coming to finer and finer levels of thinking process. This is during transcendental meditation. Mind coming to finer, it's an experience. Mind experiences how thought comes, and then what is the final state of thought, final state of thought, final state of thought. Finest state of thought, it transcends finest thought, remains in the state of pure intelligence, pure awareness, and this is the full potential of the mind. Corresponding to this march of the mind to the source of thought, we have changes in the physiology, all the brain activity. Recent experiments in the brain activity found that the brain waves, they become more orderly, they become more synchronized. Chaotic, random activity of the brain waves in the waking state of consciousness, it becomes more coherent, they say. Physiologists say, all the experiments in EEG, they say the waves become more and more coherent, more and more coherent. Thinking becomes more and more orderly. This orderliness of thinking on the physiological level, physiological orderliness increasing, a time comes with this increase that it increases to maximum value. And here we say this is the maximum potential of the brain functioning. The brain is the same, but the brain waves become more coherent. So much of experiments have been done in so many different mental hospitals where the psychologists and psychiatrists are busy finding newer ways of dealing with this depression and anxiety of the people and all that. So what has been found is, through the practice of transcendental meditation, the brain waves become more synchronous, they become more orderly, and this is what makes the mind more powerful for its thinking. And on that powerful thinking, action becomes more rewarding naturally. So this physiological and psychological changes brought about by transcendental meditation are towards elimination of stress and strain and incompetency of the brain, and then brain becoming powerful, mind becoming powerful. The basis of psychosomatic diseases disappears. All basis of psychosomatic disease is weakness of the mind. If the mind is weak, all kinds of problems, physical, mental, environmental problem one creates for oneself, all the behavioral problem arise from this weakness of the mind and body. All this has a chance to be eliminated. It's only a matter of responsible people in every society to come out and make it available to all the people. It's just to share this wonderful and much needed knowledge with every man in the world. We have a very well planned campaign, and that is to train the teachers of science of creative intelligence. We have about 7,000 teachers now, but looking to the population of the world, it's just not even a drop in the ocean. It was for this that I started inviting you to participate in this educational program in your own localities. Inspire educational authorities, inspire health authorities, inspire in authorities concerned with social welfare. Tell them, give them all the literature that there is, a huge amount of literature. There is no limit to the convincing documents which the movement has gathered in so many different parts, that all what I have said is very much more than a proven fact today. The only thing that is needed is more teachers in society. And in each area, they'll speak in their own language, in their own accents, will convince their own people. All these problems in industry, commerce, strikes going on, these huge things, all that is not necessary anymore. In this chaotic situation, neither the employer is happy, nor the employees are happy. Both, instead of enjoying life together, are afraid of each other all the time. You don't know when he may strike, or they don't know when he may strike. These strikes all the time, all over. It is so much damaging to progress, and it doesn't leave life in fulfillment in any sense of the word. And all this is completely not necessary. So much of unrest in the youth. This is just because the nature of life is to progress. And youth being most vital, he wants to progress faster. And the routine work, it cramps him down. As long as he is a student, he has newer waves of knowledge, and somehow, in some way, in whatever way, his life is sustained. But the moment he leaves college and joins an office, maybe 6 months, maybe 1 year, 1 year is too long a time, 3-4 months he feels that I am this and I am this and I am a director, or I am a minister of this. And 3 months, 6 months, and then that ministry, that directorship, it becomes so boring. Just because there is a routine work. Every machinery of the government is a routine work. Every phase of any employment is a routine work. And only through routine work we can expect some sustained progress and achievement. But the very nature of routine work is such that it does not provide opportunity for full expression of creative intelligence, and therefore this compulsory same activity, day after day, week after week, month after month, year after year, it becomes very hurting to the nature of life which wants to grow. This situation we can eliminate by introducing science of creative intelligence. It is a philosophy of life, but it is a very practical philosophy. This is a philosophy of action, whether we call it a philosophy or we call it principles, or we call it the laws of nature. It is the law of nature that every phase of living has to be within boundaries, and it is the law of nature that boundaries restrict expansion. They do not provide opportunity for the full expression of creative intelligence, and in this way they are cramping to the very purpose of life, and therefore life must revolve. 15-20 minutes, let life revolt against boundaries in our quiet, comfortable living room. Let life revolt, let the mind revolt against all the boundaries and jump into the boundless. Beautiful. And here is the success. Here is the daily opportunity for the creative intelligence to find full expression of its value, unbounded awareness, bliss consciousness, so fulfilling. And in so doing, physiological, psychological, restful alertness, body, mind, lose all the depression, anxieties, lose all the stresses and strains, comes out fresh, physically fresh, mentally fresh. This should be a daily routine in every home, in every family, in every society, in every phase of society, in every department of the government, in every level of education, in every phase of industry and commerce and health organizations. This is something practical formula. And we don't have to continue with our understanding or with the understanding of all those who have gone before us, previous generation, that life is a struggle. Without this knowledge, without this experience of unboundedness, without providing life an opportunity for the full expression of creative intelligence, life will always be a struggle in experience and in understanding. It will always be a suffering in understanding and experience. But this truthful understanding and this truthful experience must be made obsolete. It has been so unfortunate that this experience and this understanding, coming on for such long time, has even gone into a religious belief. Religiously people like to suffer. Religions have grown and they are thriving in the name of suffering. It doesn't behove any spirit of religion. It certainly doesn't behove the spirit of God, that the people in the name of God should continue to suffer. We don't say that suffering doesn't exist. We know it exists, but we only know that it should no more exist. We are not denying the value of suffering. We know suffering is there, and we know it has been there, and we know it will continue to be there if proper steps are not taken. But we know now, we have the knowledge, and that it should not have been there in the first place, and if it has been there, if it is continuing, it should not continue. We know the darkness is there, but now we can bring in the switch, put on the switch, fine, flood the room with light. Even if the hall has been full of darkness for 50 years, for 1,000 years, for 10,000 years, it's not necessary that long-lived darkness should continue. It must cease. Life is a struggle, life has been suffering. All these things must go. Life should rise in its full value. And in this scientific, technological age, we are better off. This analysis about the seed of frustration through routine work, it's a great information, it's a great truth of life. Because life has been through routine, and there was no way to get to the boundless, there was no way to break the rigidity that gets built up by the routine work, and as long as there was no way to get out of it, life must continue in suffering. Just because it's the nature of life to grow. One must grow. Existence is safe in progress. If progress is denied, existence is at stake. Because it's the nature of life to grow. Evolution is natural. And therefore, existence is in need of growth, progress. Otherwise, existence becomes difficult. Existence is at stake. Progress must be faster. And if we want to maintain pace of progress, if progress is to continue day after day, if progress is to be maintained, the man must be more creative every day. It's a very simple logic. If we want progress every day, the man must have to be more creative every day. We can't get on to higher steps of progress if we are not creative. So if progress is to be maintained, the man has to be more creative every day. And to be more creative every day, the awareness must get on to that reservoir of creativity every day, that pure field of intelligence, that source of thought from where all thinking comes. The awareness, the mind, must contact that field of infinite reservoir within every day. And with every dive, something more of it will come. And every dive, something more will come. And every dive, something more will come. It's like putting the white cloth in yellow dye. Every dip brings the dye little deeper, little more deeper, little more deeper. And this is the way to be more creative every day. And this is the formula to be progressive all the time. We have to be progressive all the time because the nature of life demands progress. If we do not create initial conditions for progress, life suffers. By nature, one suffers. Here is a great knowledge for eliminating all stress and strains from life, creating a new highway for fulfillment. Here is a formula for prevention as far as health is concerned, as far as crime is concerned. So much of crime like that. One man is not able to think properly. This is just because accumulation of stress. All crime would disappear, all ill health will disappear, all psychosomatic diseases will disappear, activity will be powerful, it will be life supporting. When the activity is spontaneously progressive, it is in accordance with the laws of nature. It is in the stream of evolution. It is naturally good. It is naturally life supporting. This is the kind of society we can create now. The choice is ours. In our locality, we must have as many teachers as possible. The world plan calls for training enough teachers in every society, in every country, so that at least one teacher is available for 1,000 people. And when a community of 1,000 people has one teacher of science of creative intelligence who can give the direct experience of pure creative intelligence and explain the mechanics of how the creative intelligence grows and gives the procedure whereby spontaneously maximum creative intelligence could grow, then within 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, it can't be more than 3 years, the whole society will be free from stresses, strains, crime, illnesses. And when I say this, it should not be taken to be anything less than correct. It's this which inspires me to go everywhere I can possibly go and invite the intelligent people in society to look closely into this situation that has arisen from this knowledge of science of creative intelligence and make use of it. We have enough knowledge in this science of creative intelligence to make life successful on earth. And in this generation, within these few years, the only thing that is necessary is we must have enough teachers. And everyone is invited to become teachers. The teacher training programs are so simple, they are so natural, they are so effective that by the time one gains the ability to teach others, one finds oneself on a fairly good level of relaxation and creativity. There are three months courses here. This is the meeting to inaugurate a course on science of creative intelligence. It's about a month course. You'll have all the details here. But the main thing is that this is something real. It works. It has enough evidence that it works. It's only necessary to allow it to work in our own life and in the life of our friends. No one should think that this will do good to that person or that person. We must start from ourselves, because hardly anyone in any society today can claim freedom from worries, anxieties. One may not be anxious about oneself, but it's enough that one is anxious even for others. Life is nowhere near satisfaction. And within these few months, few years, we can create a situation that life will be very near satisfaction everywhere. Jerry Jarvis, national leader from USA, I would like you to hear them for a few minutes, and then it will be my joy to answer questions. Here is an opportunity this evening to spend some time on deep thinking about life. And because I have said all the scientific experiments back up all this promise of eliminating age-old problems of mankind in this generation, it's a fantastic claim, but it's real. So we'll have time to go through that very thoroughly. We must have here national leaders from many countries, but I think Jerry Jarvis, national leader of USA, will speak for them all.
It's a very great privilege to be in this country, which is doing so much to develop the progress of Europe. The United States is really just a child among the family of nations. Being very young, we're running as fast as that child that Maharishi talked of earlier. And when we don't get what we want, we cry louder than most. But on the other hand, when we get what we want, we do everything we can to develop it not only for ourselves, but for the rest of the members of the family of nations. The United States has responded to this message of progress and fulfillment. Just last month in February, we had the largest number of individuals start transcendental meditation and the science of creative intelligence, approximately 20,000 in 1 month. And this has been going on for the last year. But when you calculate how long it will take on this basis to reach the 200 million in the U.S., then we realize, of course, that something more must be done, and quickly. So we are training as many teachers as possible. Right now, Maharishi will be qualifying over 1,000 Americans here in Belgium and in France. They will be going back and joining the other 5,000 teachers who are there. We are developing television in the U.S. particularly because we know that it is the fastest and most powerful means of communication of this message. We hope to have many TV stations soon in the United States, television production studio, so that we can develop programs and have them played on every station in the U.S. We are developing our press facilities, our centers, and doing everything possible to bring this message to every sector of society. Those of us that have been acquainted with the growth of the movement and know, of course, that it works, that it does produce the effects that Maharishi has talked of this evening, that know that really an introductory lecture does not even do justice to the benefits that accrue in the life of the individual and, quite naturally, of course, in the life of society. We can do nothing more than ask you to join us and begin to enjoy the reality of this message, both individually for our own life and simultaneously for the family of man that we all participate with. Thank you.
The question is, the lady wonders how is it possible that a practice whose goal is a yogi to become a yogi, how can we talk of such a speed in the advancement? Normally speaking, we expect a very slow way of evolution. All the books and all the records till now speaks of a very slow evolution when you want to become a yogi, and you are speaking of such a fast way of evolution.
All those books should be put out in the either Atlantic or in the Mediterranean, or English Channel is very near here. All those books are not necessary which say that you have to evolve slowly. All that is that belongs to those olden times which don't have to do with our modern times. Everything has been wrong. That is why life has continued in struggle. If anything has been right, then in some part of the world, some families would have been enjoying life free from strain and suffering. But throughout the world, everywhere is this problems everywhere. And therefore, all the understanding about life must be revised. It must be re-evaluated. Same kind of books will produce same kind of knowledge, and same kind of knowledge will continue to produce same kind of life. Therefore, new understanding, scientific understanding about the nature of life, outer manifest nature, inner unmanifest nature, and both these realms, outer and inner, brought on the level of our awareness, so that we may consciously live the whole range of life. I am not responsible for all the books that say you must go slow. I don't see any logic in it, nor any knowledge in that. Yes. Transcendental meditation is like watering the root and then supplying nourishment to all the branches, all the flowers, all the fruit. We must water the root, and the root of life is consciousness, awareness, intelligence. intelligence is the root of life. Watering the intelligence means we take our awareness to that pure field of intelligence, source of thought. We can talk about the science of creative intelligence in terms of physics, physiology, psychology, sociology, chemistry, biochemistry, astronomy, physics, and history, geography. In any of these branches of knowledge, we can talk about science of creative intelligence. For the same reason, we can talk about science of creative intelligence in terms of yoga, Vedanta, in terms of all the literature that there may be available in any field, because this concerns with the whole field of life. Physics also concerns with the whole field of physical value of life. No knowledge is advantageously considered in isolation for its own value, because every little thing has an influence on the whole of life. Those who are dedicated to yoga, if they read my interpretation of yoga, and that is available in the scripture of yoga, there is only one scripture of yoga, and that is Bhagavad Gita. During all these great day and night activity of the world movement, I could snatch time here and there, and I could give an interpretation to 1/3 of the text of Bhagavad Gita. In that you will find, from this point of view, what yoga is. Otherwise, yoga is so widely misinterpreted in terms of some gymnastics, some physical movements here and there. It's a very, very gross kind of yoga.
The question was, in fact, do you feel that yoga relaxation is bad? That was the question.
Yoga?
Relaxation, do you disapprove it?
Relaxation from any side is good, but it must be real. Relaxation through hypnosis or through some such things, it's not so lasting. One may feel something like that. People go to cinema and something nice and one feels relaxed. But this is not so deep relaxation as to create a situation of relaxed life throughout the day or night. Anything that one enjoys is relaxing, something. But it doesn't produce that need for a fulfilled state of life. It doesn't. Yeah. It's not necessary. The question is whether you have to suffer and then you will appreciate joy. We don't want to remain in darkness in order to appreciate light. It's not necessary. We appreciate light. We don't have to put off the switch in order to see that whether we are in light. Not necessary. Suffering is simply not necessary. Unfortunately, it has been clinging to life and now we don't want it. It's not that now we don't want it. Every man in every generation, speaking of the past, must have been running away from suffering. As we witness in our own life, we want to run away from suffering. If there is a headache, we want not to have headache. If there is suffering, we want to run away from suffering. We run to the hospital to run away from suffering. So no one ever wanted suffering. But without desire. It kept on clinging to man's life, but now, fortunately, we can get rid of it by being more creative, that's all. And to be more creative on the basis of the very nature of life which wants to grow. Simple.
There you are trying to remove suffering for the rich country's benefit. There are people in pain in lesser countries. What I'd like to know is, how do you propose to relieve suffering in poor countries, particularly like India, that are really suffering? And we know from many reports that India, that people don't have enough to eat. What I'd like to know is how yoga and Vedanta are going to relieve this. I believe your aim is to remove suffering in all parts of the world.
It's our common experience, someone who has a torchlight. He can put other people on the path. It has been the experience, particularly this existence of a common market, I am told here. This is just to help all the countries. So those who are wealthy, they always extend their help to the unwealthy. My movement is a worldwide movement. This world plan is, the whole world has been divided, the whole population of the world has been divided into segments of 1 million people. Oh, the 1 million, 1 million, 1 million. And there are about 3,600 million areas like this. So what we are doing is, as soon as possible, all we are doing to create one teacher training center in every 1 million people, in every 1 million people. So what is happening actually is, the young men from these wealthy countries, they are going to poor countries. They're taking all their machine and all that is necessary to establish a teacher training center, and then training the people in that locality, So those who are capable of helping this world plan, they are coming to bring assistance from their angle. And this is how all the people in the world, every 1 million population, will have a teacher training center, and each teacher training center will train 1,000 people. So there will be 1,000 people in 1 million population. And as soon as we have 1,000 people in 1 million population, there will be one teacher for 1,000 people. We have done our work. That teacher, having the knowledge and ability to give experience of pure intelligence, will improve the creative intelligence of his people. What the poor countries need is development of creative intelligence. Who will develop the creative intelligence of the people who are poor? Naturally, those who are rich. So young men from Germany, from England, from USA, from Sweden, from France are now preparing their suitcases of knowledge, they call it. They take a suitcase of knowledge, go there, open the suitcase, and the knowledge is so exciting. People come along, they share the knowledge, they become teachers. And these people do for maybe 6 months, 4 months, 3 months. They take off their time. They take pride in creating one teacher training center. In 3 months, they would create 5 or 10 or 15 people in there, and then leave the whole material with them, and then they amongst themselves train other teachers in their locality. So this is the plan. What else we can do? Once we have verified the knowledge, we can try to put these packages everywhere, and this is the only way to do it. Now, analyzing the state of a country, why a country is poor, straight answer is lack of creative intelligence. Very simple. One doesn't have to look in many directions to find this answer. lack of creative intelligence is the basis of poverty, is the basis of suffering. What will eliminate poverty and suffering? Development of creative intelligence. Now here is a procedure which has proved its value scientifically in the personal lives of hundreds of thousands of the people. So the only thing remains is those who have this knowledge, or those who are intelligent enough to appreciate, they get this knowledge, do their best to spread it in whatever area they can. Our world plan is a self-sufficient plan. It's an educational plan, it's self-sufficient plan. If I am found speaking here today, it doesn't mean that I am always here to... if I am found speaking in Africa or in India or in South America, it doesn't mean that I am only concentrating there. The whole population of the world is the target of the world plan, and everything that is being that is possible to do is being done. But it's not possible for the people of poor countries to come out into the rich countries. It's enough that I have come out. One man of a poor country coming out with some kind of knowledge, some kind of inspiration, and it's enough. On behalf of all the poor countries, I present myself to all the people in the wealthy countries, inspire them to do something to eliminate stress in the scientifically and technologically advanced countries and eliminate the basic cause of poverty, which is lack of creative intelligence in the poor countries. In the scientifically and technologically advanced countries and eliminate the basic cause of poverty, which is lack of creative intelligence in the poor countries. This is the answer. What I am doing here in USA, in Germany, in Africa, in India, I am doing the same thing all over, because life is a struggle all over. Poor countries are struggling for survival, rich countries are suffering for progress. With the increase of stress, progress is at stake in wealthy countries. How much of suicidal tendencies in Sweden and here and there, we don't have to go into it. But life is in need of relief. Progress is at stake in progressive countries. Existence is at stake in developing countries. Both areas need developed creative intelligence. This knowledge is the answer for all countries, for the whole population. So from our side, we are doing everything, and always I welcome all those people who are intelligent, resourceful, wealthy, full of goodwill in their hearts, charitable organizations, philanthropic individuals, intelligent, influential in any field, to first do for their own localities and then do all that is necessary for the world at large. The whole thing is very simple. We concern ourselves with only one thing, science of creative intelligence. And we try to talk in terms of understandable expressions. When we talk in African countries, we don't talk of much of physics and chemistry and physiology and brain wave patterns and synchrony. We don't talk. We talk in terms of more energy, more intelligence, clear thinking, very down-to-earth qualities. When we talk to scientists, we talk in their terms When we talk to students, we talk in their terms. When we go to introduce science of creative intelligence in business and industry, we talk in their terms. But it's the same basic knowledge, SCI and TM, science of creative intelligence and TM. But we talk to the people in terms. And to eliminate suffering from life and create a new history of the world from suffering to all happiness must necessarily be a cooperative enterprise. A cooperative enterprise. Everyone must join hands, do everything that is possible, first for himself and then for others. This is our invitation. World Plan is a very beautiful plan. It's a very successful plan, and within 2, 3, 4 years we want to complete this plan. It's unlike any other plan of any country, 5-year plans and keep on another 5 and another 5 or 3 year or another 3 year. It's not going to be an eternal story of action within 2, 3 years. The moment we have sufficient number of teachers everywhere, life will be different. Some will start now, others will start tomorrow, others may wait till day after tomorrow, but it will be very difficult for any intelligent man not to participate in this global endeavor to improve life.
I have a special question, Maharishi.
Yeah.
I read in newspapers that in America and in Europe, under young people, it's the greatest problem, or one of the greatest problems is the drug problem. I read in newspapers you have had with your movement the best success in abusing, order to bring the young people away from drugs. Is that right?
Automatically it happens. Falling into drugs is just due to that lack of creative intelligence. Some youngsters have heard that there is some fourth state of consciousness, that bliss and all. They have heard some in some books, but they don't find where to have it. So they want some, they say, spiritual experience and all kinds of things. They are seeking. And then that experience is available through this natural procedure of TM. When they start meditation, in 2-3 days, if they have been loitering outside in the lawns and under the trees, in 2-3 days they return home, they cut their hair, start to take bath, join the college. 2-3-4 days, good enough for this. Automatically, only they should start to meditate. And we never advise them to not take drug or take drug. We don't talk to them about drugs because this kind of advice doesn't help. He must begin to think in a more creative manner from within himself, and automatically this results. Same thing happens if you hear the remarks of the prisoners. So many prisons in different countries, they are using this science of creative intelligence courses for rehabilitation. And within 3, 4, 5 days, the prisoners write letters so fantastic. They had their creative intelligence, only it was misguided due to stress and strain. And in 3, 4 days, stress is resolved so much, their thinking becomes clear so much, they begin to think of the whole society straight away. So this drug thing is also a kind of rehabilitation. Same thing happens to these mental patients. Very beautiful and very well-established clinics in US have started this as a part of their mental therapy. And it's from there that all these brain waves, changes have been recorded in their EEG. More and more researches in this field are coming from the clinical field, mental hospitals. Every government has a chance now to eliminate all its budget for prisons. No prisoners would be there, just introduce TM, and in a few weeks they show so much of responsible thinking that they don't have to be behind the bars. Schools, colleges, everywhere a new inspiration comes. It's only necessary to have more teachers in society and for responsible people to do something, do everything that is possible to popularize this knowledge in their spheres. 15 years ago when I started the movement, I could only express my goodwill and hope. But now, all that time is over. There are hundreds of scientific experiments to vouch, to stand as a witness of what I have been saying right from the beginning. So, the leaders in every country now find their life more easy. They don't have to talk too much these days. All the scientific charts are there and people think that this is reliable. They experience that it is so. This is how it is spreading. But to bring speed of spreading this knowledge should be shared by every responsible man in society.
Thank you very much.
I have two written questions here. What do you think about other meditation techniques? And is it possible to practice an other meditation technique at the same time as transcendental meditation, especially if that other meditation technique is in connection with a religion?
What we teach is something to be done 15-20 minutes morning and evening. Regarding other things, we have no opinion. We leave a man to do what he wants to do. We just teach transcendental meditation, give the knowledge of this pure creative intelligence. What he should do, what he should not do, he will decide in his own level of consciousness. Nothing, neither we advise on religion, nor diets, nor anything, do's and don'ts, we don't talk about. Simply, innocently teach the practice, give the knowledge pertaining to the practice, satisfy all the doubts and questions regarding understanding, and then leave the man to be with his tradition, with his culture, with his way of life, with everything that he wants to do. Just 15 minutes morning and evening. He can practice hundreds of meditations, we don't mind. As long as he does this 15 minutes, 20 minutes morning and evening, he'll begin to enjoy everything that he will do. Either meditation or no meditation or whatever. Whatever he will do in life, he will begin to enjoy more because everything will become more meaningful. Just we concern ourselves with this practical aspect of this science. It's simple, very natural. One of the strengths of the world plan is this innocence of our movement. We never go into any other area except transcendental meditation, that's all. If a man says, oh, my health is like that and like that, I say, for health, take advice from the experts, go to the doctors, learn meditation, and you will recover more easily, better. Speed of recovery will be more, but consult the experts in your health, for your health. It's absolutely an innocent movement, and this has been the basis for the development of this science, a universal thing. People following their religions, all kinds of religions in the world, and everyone is proud of one's own religion. Everyone begins to understand his religion better as these stresses are resolved. So we are very neutral in this connection.
Did you first start this teaching in the Himalayas?
I started in India, in the Himalayas. I was very fortunate to find a very perfect master who just radiated that fullness of life, and I just basked in his radiance, and here is the opportunity for the whole mankind to enjoy. I owe everything to my master. The future of the world is very, very bright, just because the response is very encouraging in the present. With this, I would invite you to join this course on Science of Creative Intelligence, as many of you as possible, sooner or later, and see that you contribute in this global endeavor to create a better life on earth. Jai Gurudev.